Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Jason White and this is Jason's Weird Reads, and this video is my quarter one. Finally, it's very late, but it's my quarter one wrap up video. As I said, this is very late, but I've never been one to be known for being early. And so basically what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go through the books. I'm not going to say much about them. I'm going to go through the books, and then I'm going to give my top 5. I was thinking of going through like all the stats and that, but they're not very impressive, so we're just going to skip that. Alright, so my Q1 wrap up, the books I read. Now there's 17 books I think that I've read in the first quarter. We're just going to get into what those are. I'm starting at the beginning. I read Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson. I've been reading this for Mike's book reviews. He's holding a read-along with that. I've been meaning to get to these books anyway, and so I thought I'd jump on board. And so far I'm enjoying the journey. So I read Gardens of the Moon and Deadhouse Gate. Those are two. I kind of struggled with Deadhouse Gates, and I've been thinking about doing some video reviews on the Malazan books, and perhaps like first timers reviews, because you know, my videos on this wouldn't be any better than what other people have put out there, but I think it might be a good way for me to sort of keep track what's going on in the stories, and to work out maybe some of the things that are going on in these stories, because they are pretty dense. I also read To Be by Mark Allen Gunnels. I read this. He gave me an electronic advanced reader's copy to read so that he could come on my channel and talk with me. I'll put that up there if I remember, but it'll be linked down there as well. And we had a great hour-long discussion about this book, among other things, so definitely go check that out. I read The Way of Kings. Now, if you've been watching my channel for the last few months, you know that at the end of the year and at the beginning of this year, I was like, I'm going to read more fantasy. I'm going to read 2 huge series at the same time. And that's, of course, Malazan, Book of the Fallen, and the Stormlight Archives. And, well, I finished The Way of Kings, and I enjoyed it, but I decided to put that one down for now, because reading those 2 huge, massive, agonizingly massive series, I think Brandon Sanderson's going to break records with the size of books he's writing these days. So I kind of put that one down. It's easier to read, but at the same time, they're much bigger, much bigger books. So I'll be getting back to that, but I'm glad to have finally finished The Way of Kings. I also read The Coming of the Old Ones by Thomas Jeffrey. Now this book is like a chapbook, and it has 2 short stories and a novella in it, and it's basically all Lovecraftian short stories, and I really enjoyed it. Reviews for all these, by the way, are going to be coming, where I go just a little bit deeper into the plot and what I thought of them. The Fearing. I read The Fearing volumes 1 and 2. I believe that this was meant to actually just be a big book, but they split it up and released it monthly, if I remember correctly. So I read the first 2, and they're both pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to continue with it. I probably will. Each part's like 3 hours. But I stopped listening to the audiobooks, not because I wasn't enjoying myself. I stopped mostly because I wanted to continue with other things. I read Anoka by Shane Hawk. This is a collection of short stories, all set in the same town. And I'm going to be reviewing a batch reviews. I don't know if they're going to come before or after this. You'll probably have already seen it if you're watching my channel. So look out for that. I really enjoyed this collection. In the Shadows of Men by Robert Jackson Bennett. Now, you guys probably recognize that name because Robert Jackson Bennett also wrote books like Foundryside. He wrote Foundryside, and I know that's been making the rounds here on BookTube, but nobody talks about this one. This is In the Shadows of Men is sort of a strange horror story that takes place in an old motel, pretty much in the middle of nowhere, that was inherited by these two brothers, and their plan is to fix it up, and it's a pretty good story. I enjoyed it a lot anyway, especially Bennett's writing. I also read The Last Kingdom by Bernard Cornwell. This is a historical fiction, and it very much reads like a fantasy story, though. And it's very brutal. Let me tell you, there's things in this book I didn't think I would see, because these are like, general public people, general public literature people read this, and it, like I said, it's got some serious brutality about it. I was watching, I think his name is Petrick. I was watching his channel, and he was talking about these books, and I was like, you know what, I want to check them out, because The Last Kingdom is also a Netflix series. So I checked it out, and I enjoyed it. Now this one I have already reviewed, along with these next two. I read Girl on Fire by Gemma Amor, and I really enjoyed that. The review for both these, this book and the next book up there. I also read Later by Stephen King, which I also, like, it didn't blow my mind by any means, but I had one hell of a time reading it. I really enjoyed my time in that, so I'm glad to have read a recent Stephen King book that I absolutely loved. I read another advanced copy of Slow Burn on Riverside by Chad Lutzke. He sent me the e-copy of this so that we could prepare for an interview with him. I'll put the link for that either up there or down there, or both. I had a great time talking with Chad. It's been a long time coming, because when I was doing the Darkness Dwells podcast, I kept saying to him, you got to come on the show sometime, but we weren't doing any episodes. And so basically, now that that is over, I wanted him to come on my my booktube channel, and he was like, yeah, anytime. But I kind of needed a break, honestly, from interviewing authors, and so we just didn't for a while. Basically, I just needed to become ready in order to review people again. I started with two of my friends, one of my best friends and a casual sort of acquaintance friend, and then I moved on to Chad Lutzke. So you can probably count on more interviews to come shortly. I read Wallflower by Chad Lutzke, and I really enjoyed this one. I actually read this one before that interview as well, because I just wanted one more under the belt, something else to talk to him about, and this book did not let me down. I read Solaris by Stanislaw Lem, and this story was weird. It started off really strong for me. I'm gonna save whether or not I liked it. You'll see in the batch review of science fiction fantasy that I do. Let's just say it was interesting. It should have been something I liked more, maybe. On my Stephen King kick, I read Revival right after Later, and I really enjoyed this one too, although I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, because, it's been a long time coming, me wanting to read this book. A lot of people are like, oh, you gotta read Revival because you'll love it. It's right up your alley. And I agree, it sort of would have been, but for some reason it just didn't click as much as I wanted it to, but I did enjoy it. And I also read Breach of Peace by Danielle Green. Everyone knows on BookTube knows who Danielle Green is, especially if you read fantasy. He's probably one of the bigger, if not biggest, fantasy channels, and within the last couple of years he decided that he wanted to start writing, and I'm kind of glad he did, honestly, because Breach of Peace was a pretty good start. A lot of people are comparing or saying that it has a lot of horror elements to it, and it certainly did. But I'm going to be adding that to a review as well. And that is it for Q1. I just finished right now Into the Drowning Deep, but I'm not even going to mention that, because that's going to be part of Q2. I guess I did just mention it. Anyways, alright, so let's get on to what I felt were the top 5 reads of this quarter. Now, this was really hard to do. There was a lot of good stuff on here, and there were some disappointments as well. So we're going to start at number 5. I put Breach of Peace by Daniel Green because it was just a lot of fun. I plan on rereading it at some point because I read the whole thing in one night and it just flew past. And I need to reread it again just to absorb some of the details. Later is at number 4, and that's by Stephen King. Again, this was very fast, but a very fun read. One reason why I like this story so much is how it reminds me of another story by Stephen King that's in Hearts in Atlantis, and so that's why that's here. Number 3, I put Wallflower by Chad Lutzke. To be honest, this one didn't hit me in the feels quite as much as I thought it would, but I've read some books that are pretty that go even farther than Chad Lutzke did into what it's like being a heroin addict, and you can go much darker than Chad Lutzke did in Wallflower. Having said that, though, Wallflower is a very dark and emotional read, and I highly recommend it. Number 2, I have The Last Kingdom, and this book by Bernard Cornwell is it's just brutal fun, and it kind of it doesn't read like history because it's not actually based on history, but it has a historical significance, and so that part was really fun as well. If you know me, I do enjoy my gore and my nastiness. And if this was more fantasy instead of historical fiction, you could probably still put it within the grimdark subgenre. And in at number 1 is a surprise to me because the first time I read this book, I didn't really enjoy it, and I enjoyed the second one, which was Deadhouse Gates. But Gardens of the Moon really blew me away this time. I don't know why. I think it's the characters, honestly. The characters are just a lot of fun, and there's a lot of weird things that go on in Gardens of the Moon, and you have to pay attention. Otherwise, you're going to miss something. But I absolutely loved Gardens of the Moon, and I struggled with Deadhouse Gates. It didn't make this list. However, Memories of Ice, which I'm reading right now, could make number 1 for Q2. You're just gonna have to wait and see, and that'll be interesting because right now I'm reading Memories of Ice and I'm really enjoying it. So that is my Q1 wrap up. I think I'm just gonna save this video and put it like later on. I'll put this one after maybe all those batch reviews I'm planning on doing. So thank you for watching. Keep being safe and keep being creative, and I'll catch you guys in the next bookish video.